Often when I start training with a new dog training client, I hear a lot of frustrations about how their dog doesn't understand what no means. But would you believe that I don't even teach dogs the word no at all? I actually prefer to teach my dogs a positive interrupter instead. This is a really great way to stop behavior in the moment whenever you see it without scaring your dog, damaging your relationship, and communicating to them clearly what you would like for them to do instead. I'm Abby with Positive Futures, and here's how to teach your dog a positive interrupter.
To start conditioning your interrupter word, you're first going to choose what you want to say. I'm using enough. We're going to start by standing in front of your dog, giving the interrupter cue, enough, and then scattering a couple of high-value treats on the floor. The dog doesn't need to do any specific behavior. All we're doing at this point is conditioning the dog to recognize that this specific word means food is going to be available. If you live in a multi-dog household, I recommend working on this skill individually with each dog first, especially if there are any concerns about resource guarding when eating a treat scatter. After conditioning your cue for a couple of days, try practicing whenever your dogs aren't expecting it. Here, my dogs were just hanging out on the couch. I gave the cue, and they both perked up and came to find me, which means that my cue has been conditioned properly.
Enough.
Try practicing in various contexts, like giving your interrupter cue whenever you're out of sight, and see if your dogs will come find you. You can also use this when your dogs are out in the yard and there are other things that they could be paying attention to instead. When your dog can respond in multiple different contexts, you'll know the cue is properly conditioned.
This interrupter can be used to stop any kind of undesirable behavior you see. Really commonly, I will use it to stop my dogs from barking at something out in the yard or barking at somebody at the front door. I can use it to interrupt rough play. So if I'm seeing my dogs play and I'm not really sure if it's going well or if both dogs are having fun, I can use that interrupter to break things up for a minute before releasing them back to go play. This can also be used for new puppy parents. So if your puppy is getting into something they shouldn't be, they're chewing on something inappropriate, or they are playing tug with your favorite pair of pant legs, this is a really great way to stop that behavior in the moment and redirect them onto something else. Now, it is really important to keep in mind that you do run a risk of creating an inadvertent behavior chain. If you find yourself in a situation where, say your dog is barking at somebody out the window, you use your interrupter cue, they disengage, come get their treat from you, and then they run right back to the window to start barking again. It's really important that after you have interrupted that behavior and you have rewarded your dog for disengaging and coming to find you instead, that you redirect them onto an appropriate activity afterwards. So a few examples of some redirection tactics that you can try. We can always go with simple management, which could just be putting your dog on leash so that you can manage their behavior for a while until the event stops. You can also ask your dog to move into another room or behind a barrier for a reinforcer. If you have some enrichment puzzles or chewable items for your dog at the ready, you can always give them something self-soothing to do instead, like a licky mat. And other times I may even send my dog to a settle mat or a place or a station so that we can practice calm, relaxing behavior after I've interrupted something high excitement. There are all different kinds of tactics that you can use, so find what works best for you in the situation and the behavior that you're trying to interrupt and run with it. In general, it is always better to teach our dogs on the front end what we would like for them to do in these kind of situations instead of wait for everything to just hit the fan and try to shout no at our dogs and scold them for doing behavior that we haven't really shown them any kind of alternative for. If you try teaching a positive interrupter at home, let us know how it's going in the comments. See you guys next time.